Hey kids, welcome to my kitchen. It's a lovely day, so today I thought I would bake a cake. Yeah, I've got some leftover, there we go, less shadows on my glasses. I've got some leftover buttermilk from another cake that I made, and I really don't want it to go to waste. So I'm gonna be making an apple cake, well, an apple-ish cake. I'm gonna be making a spice cake with an apple filling and hopefully a caramel buttercream. And we'll just see how that turns out. That and I really want cake. You know, cake anytime is, you should be able to make yourself a cake anytime you want, right? Right. Okay, so let's get this thing started and I will show you what I got. Okay, just for the cake, I've got butter, room temperature, buttermilk, brown sugar, oil, cake flour, salt, sugar, baking powder, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla, and eggs. It's a lot of stuff for one cake, but you know, it's a good cake. Well, I completely forgot to follow this, but I've got the eggs and the sugar and the butter and the oil and the vanilla in here. So it's going pretty good. Next up is the buttermilk. When you put buttermilk into a cake, you still have to make sure that everything is room temperature, including the buttermilk and the eggs and everything like that. Sometimes it tends to split when you put it in because it's buttermilk. You know, there's an acidic quality to it, and then you've also got eggs and butter that's in there. It doesn't necessarily act that great with each other. So you have to make sure that you beat it a lot, like at least 3 minutes. And even then, it wanted to split a little bit. But once I got the flour and everything seemed to be okay. So hopefully it turns out okay. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna let that puppy bake, see what happens. Okay, for the second part of this cake, we've got apples and sugar and cinnamon. And I'll show you what we're doing with these. Okay, I'm gonna add some sugar to our apples and let this macerate for a little bit with a little sugar and some cinnamon. Let that sit for a little bit. Okay, so the apples have been macerating for a little bit. I got the cinnamon on there and a little bit of salt. I've got my pan heated up. Dump this with all the liquid that it created. See the liquid that it created? We're gonna thicken all that up. Okay, so the plan is to cook these down a little bit so they are cooked, but they still have a crunch on them. So it's gonna be a fine line. And they're gonna get some color on them, and I wanna use the liquid that's coming up for the soak for the cake. Okay, I've got a 6-inch ring on a 8-inch board, and we've got acetate, and we're going to build the cake in here. Hello. Okay, so I've got this centered, got that open, there we go. So we're gonna first take the halves and put them in here. 1/2. And the other half, I don't think that out. Okay, I have decided to not put the frosting in. It's just, I don't like it. And if I don't like it, what's the point in using it? So I'm just going to put the apples that are really moist. There's still some liquid down there, so we're gonna put a nice layer of the apples on top of this. So it's a nice thick layer of apples. So my brain is just not working, and I thought I filmed that whole last section, and I didn't. I hadn't turned on my camera. So what is happening now is I just finished the cake and it needs to set in the freezer. Hello and welcome to part 2 of cake. So I've got the cake done and it's in the refrigerator. I mean, it's not done. It's got it's stacked and it's ready to go. It's chilling in the fridge, but I need to make a frosting because there's no frosting in between the layers. And so there is a potentiality of it being rather dry. We don't want that, do we? So I'm just gonna be making a regular old vanilla buttercream, American style, and we'll get that going on the cake. Sounds like fun, huh? Let's make frosting, yeah. Okay, so here's the cake. Now here's the beautiful part of this. because there was so much moisture in the apples, you can see this line, so it's soaked in. So the sponges here and here are are moist, but we've got a dry sponge up here. So I'm gonna make this a semi-nude cake or a semi-naked cake. And just so you'll be able to see the cake through it and then have the icing on top. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping to do. Here is where we start to frost the cake. First, you put a whole bunch of frosting on the top and just zhuzh it around till it gets to the edges. This is just a really quick way of doing frosting. And it's kind of nice doing a semi-naked cake because when you've frosted a cake before, you understand how obsessive you can get with frosting a cake, and it's very difficult to walk away. So yeah, what you don't see is the bowl of frosting off to the side, and just always wipe off your offset spatula so you don't take any more crumbs. Wipe it off on something besides the frosting so you don't put any more crumbs into the frosting because you don't need that carryover. So yeah, there you go. Put it on the sides, and then you want to even out the top so it doesn't look so wacky like it does right now. I'll do that in just a second. There you go. You just need to level things off and make a nice clean line. There you go. That's how you frost a cake. Fast. Okay, I'm just spreading around a little bit of cinnamon because, you know, there's cinnamon in it around this cookie cutter. And I was just very, very careful around the edges with my fingers because ideally this would be a cutout or a stencil or something like that. So there it is. It's the Eiffel Tower. So since it's the Eiffel Tower, it is a French apple cake. I like to see how I did that. Okay, so got the cake cut, got a piece out. Let's try this. Hang on, gotta get some apple. Let's be a piece of apple. That's a dog barking. That's a good piece of cake. I'm gonna do midsection here, see how that holds up, because the cake seems. Yeah, that's moist. Oh, that's a good cake. It's not too, it's really not that sweet. I mean, it's not sickeningly sweet. Spice cake. And the apples aren't caramelized, so they're not overly sweet either. It's just like nice interior of an apple pie. Yeah, baby. Good cake. And the apples have just enough crunch in them. But I think that it needs a streusel topping or something like that. Because this is, yeah, this is a good cake. So there you go. There is my it's apple pie cake. I've made this before. Apple spiced pie cake. Spiced apple pie cake. Spiced apple pie cake. That's it. Near naked spiced apple pie cake. How many times can I say this? Anyway, so there you go. If you want to make a cake, you can make a cake. Who's to say you can't make a cake just because if you feel like having cake? I mean, personally, you'll know how much sugar's in it and you'll know everything that's in it. So it's healthier in that respect than, you know, just going to a bakery or a grocery store and buying a cake. And you know the satisfaction of making your own cake. That's me. I like that. Anyway, so there's your cake, kids. Make it at home. Until next time, I will see you later.